What do you do when you have to make a really hard decision? And decisions are important, right? Because everything that you want in life, whether it's your dream career, dream relationship, anything you want, money, freedom, all of it lies on the other side of making a really hard decision. And I've been there. I've made a few hard decisions in my life, and I'm sure you have as well. But the thing is that sometimes you don't know whether the decision you're making is the one that's right for you or not. And there's no avoiding it. If you want to move forward in your life, you have to make hard decisions. But the problem about decisions and what makes these decisions hard is not because they're hard. What makes them hard is the fact that when you're making the decision, you're on one side. And in order to actually complete that decision, you have to cross the threshold, this boundary going from your known world into your unknown world, right? So imagine this, right? Imagine that you're in this side of the world and there's light here. You can see things, you know where things are. It's a safe space for you. And on the other side, right at the horizon where you can't see any further, there's a darkness, right? The sunlight doesn't reach there. You don't know what's there. You don't know what dangers lurk. You don't know what predators lurk. You don't know where you might fall down, what you might do. Where does the path lead? You have no idea. And there's this horizon in the middle. There's this boundary. There's this threshold. And oftentimes, to make a important life-changing decision, you have to be willing to cross that threshold. And so it's often not that there's an important decision to be made. Sometimes you've already made the decision. Like, you want to go ahead and start a business, but you're scared because what would happen if you lose your job, or what would happen if you fail at your business? Then it's not that you've not made the decision to start the business. It's just that you're afraid to cross the threshold into the land of the unknown. And so this is the hero's journey. I mean, if you've heard of the hero's journey, I'm a big fan of the hero's journey. In fact, I use the philosophy of the hero's journey when I work with my clients. I've been working now for the last 5 years. I work with over 15,000 people. I work with people who suffer from anxiety. I work with people who want to make more money. I work with people who want to experience a more loving and more courageous relationship in their life. Aren't relationships about courage as well? Isn't starting a business about courage as well? It's the courage to cross the threshold. And the thing is that in the world that we live in today, we have been patterned to not cross the threshold. We're living in a very safe world in a way. I don't want to be insensitive when I say this, because I do know that people lead hard lives. My life has been really hard as well. But the truth is, when I look back at my own journey over the last few years, I've realized that when life is hard, it's because when I make it hard. It's when I'm unwilling to do the things that I know that I need to do, that I want to do in order to take my life where I want it to be. I think for most of us, we kind of very well know what we want our lives to look like. We know that, okay, I want to make more money, for example. I want to progress in my career, for example. We have a rough idea of what that might look like. We have an idea of the kind of family we want. We have an idea of the kind of relationship we want. However, whenever we try to, at least I speak for myself here, whenever I try to get towards that, move towards that, there was always this fear. There was always this heart going pump, 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 pump. Now, if you relate with me over there, if you're also one of those people that starts to overthink, what if this happens? What if that happens? I think it's important to recognize that it's not, the issue isn't that I haven't made a decision. The issue is that I've not found the courage to actually walk beyond the horizon into the unknown darkness and explore that world, to make it part of my known world, to go and shed light on it so that I can actually become more than who I am today. And this video partly is to let you know that you are much, much, much more than who you believe you are today. But it's tough. It's really, really tough to cross the threshold. It's tough. And I get that. And especially tough if you feel alone on this journey. So I just want to share with you that I have something that could help you out in a really big way, because I have a community, a group of people who are committed to growth, committed to living their best life. And the way that we do that is by breaking free of old patterns. And the way that we do that is through community. So if you're interested, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but just go to the description below. It's called The Greater Self. Just go to the description below, click on the link and check it out. If you like it, I think it's going to be an incredible journey. Come on board and let us help you cross that threshold. The truth is, if you don't cross the threshold, if you have a tough time making life-changing decisions, you're going to have a tough time in life. That's the truth of it. And so if I had to summarize, what do you do when you want to go ahead and make a life-changing decision? Part of that, of course, is to get a good group of people around you so that you actually have that push. Sometimes you just need a push. Sometimes you just need encouragement. But apart from that, it's recognizing that if you want something badly enough, like if it's something that you're fixating on, you've already made the decision. It's recognizing that you've already made the decision. Like when I decided that I wanted to quit my job and start a business, which I did, over 5 years ago, I had actually made that decision to quit and start a business probably 1 year before I actually did anything about it. But the decision was already made. Then what I was doing was I was just trying to figure out the from where could I gather the courage to go ahead and actually cross the threshold and go and resign from my job. So one part is actually realizing that you made the decision. But the next part is figuring out how you're going to go and cross that boundary and step into the unknown and actually do the thing that you were going to do. And that requires courage, and it requires character, but it also requires you to change your pattern of mind, of emotion. And that is another story, because that is about your inner game. What the hell's going on in your mind? What the hell's going on in your heart? And how do the two relate? And also, how do you find that energy and momentum to take the emotion that you have, to take the strategy that you have in the mind? For example, when I first decided to quit my job and start my business, it was one conversation I remember that sparked that decision, and that sparked the courage. Because that conversation was with a friend of mine. We're driving in her car, and I was complaining to her, I really, really want to get rid of this job. I want to start a business. And she said, why don't you do it? And I said, because I don't have the money, because back then I didn't have the money. And she said to me, why don't you save for the money and quit? And the funny thing is, I it's not a very revolutionary idea. Why don't I save and quit? But I was so focused on what I don't have, and I was so focused on the negativity that was patterned inside of me, the unsatisfaction, the complaining, the moaning. It was patterned inside of me. And that one conversation broke the pattern. So it could be one conversation that breaks the pattern for you. I don't know what your pattern is. You could be having a similar pattern. Maybe you're looking at your situation and you're unhappy and you're focused on that, and that's creating negative emotions, and it's becoming really, really tough for you to get out of the negativity and actually go ahead and do something, gather the courage to go ahead and cross the threshold. On the other hand, it could be something else, but there's a pattern. And if the pattern breaks, you realize that you have more options. Like I realized, oh yeah, I could save the money. It means I have to cut out all of my other expenses. I have to cut out going out. I have to, make a plan and decide on a timeline and save the money that I need in order to start my business. And guess what? 1.5 years later, I did exactly that. So once you realize that you actually have more freedom and you have more options, once you break out of an old pattern, then suddenly the courage to cross the threshold and make that life-changing decision might become available to you. So it's not an easy question to answer, but I hope I've tried my best. I hope I've given you some light. And if you want some help in making that life-changing decision, into crossing that boundary in your life, into going and living the life that you want, make that dream career happen, make that make your financials, take them to a whole different level, make that relationship, that love in your life that you want happen, come and check out The Greater Self. It is going to be a journey that you will never forget. I'm sure that there's something that you can come and try out for free. So come and do that. Until then, I will see you. Take care. See you soon.